and I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out.
Hey, everybody, thanks so much for joining us right here for The Right View. We got some tea tonight, and we are joined to talk about it all by editor-in-chief of the Post Millennial, Libby Emmons, as well as the host of the Alex Marlow Show, Alex Marlow. Welcome back, guys. It's just rapid fire. It's the pace of life right now feels like, things are just going at a million miles an hour, at light speed, at warp speed, as one might say. We had some tariffs over the weekend, Alex. It got the folks in the establishment very worked up. People in the mainstream media are writing stories about how Donald Trump is gonna, this is gonna be a disaster, trade wars, this, that, and the other. And before the weekend was even over, I think it was either late on Sunday, early on Monday, Donald Trump talked to the president of Mexico. They settled their whole thing. We're getting troops sent to the southern border via Mexico. Trudeau was trying to kind of grandstand, I think, telling people in Canada, you need to look on all the products, make sure you're not buying anything from the USA. My question, Alex, is this. Do people not understand who they're dealing with Donald Trump now? And I mean, by people, I mean the folks in the establishment, the folks in the mainstream media, the folks who have been so critical of these tariffs. The tariffs are not about money per se. The tariffs are leverage. And we know Donald Trump is the master of the art of the deal. Are these people ever going to learn their lesson when it comes to Donald Trump and the fact that he's so far ahead of the game?
Yeah, Lara, you asked the right question. They're not going to learn. I was playing clips from Canadian members of parliament over the last few days, and they're stuck in this 2015 establishment media American mindset where they feel like they just call him names and call him a gangster and call him a convicted felon and call him a predator. Then that's somehow going to win a trade war with him. It's not. That's the worst. As my colleague John Carney says, the tariff just got 10 feet higher. It just whenever you say that, it's just going to get worse for you if you do that. He's an America First guy. He's looking out for the United States of America. He's generally pretty easy to figure out what he wants here. In this case, it's pretty clear it was more of a drug war than a trade war. Tariffs are a weapon. I think he would certainly use tariffs if he thinks that that'll free up some budget for him or maybe lessen some of the taxpayer burden. So I think it's he's not bluffing. But overall, his main goal is we're stopping the fentanyl deaths and we're doing it by any means necessary. So if you guys are going to be partners with us, then it's going to work out for everyone. But if you're not going to be partners and you're going to act like it's some attack on your sovereignty, Canadians, that we don't want fentanyl streaming into our country, then you're going to have hell to pay. It's pretty simple, straightforward stuff. And you saw instantly Mexico buckle and cave, offer 10,000 troops to help Trump out in his mission to stop fentanyl. And that's how it's going to go for the next 4 years. And people got to get used to it.
Libby, Colombia found out pretty quickly that Donald Trump does not bluff, that he's serious. And when he talked about tariffs for Colombia, they immediately were like, wait a minute, we'll take the criminals back that you're trying to send out of your country back to ours. No problem there. But when you're talking about our two border countries, Canada and Mexico, to Alex's point, this really is about immigration. There are, 200 to 300,000 American deaths every year via fentanyl. 86% of the people on the terror watch list who are currently in our country, I think, came through the northern border. So Donald Trump wants people to do their part. He wants to make sure Mexico's doing its part. He wants to make sure Canada's doing its part. And he's using tariffs as a means to get there. I really think that this is very smart. I think he's even acknowledged, look, if this goes on longer than anticipated, it could cause a little bit of hardship for the American people. But Libby, think about what this ultimately means. If we get our border secure, that's the ultimate goal here. And we've seen that in the past, already in his second term in office, but think back to the first term in office, people were getting hysterical about tariffs when it came to China. And we saw trade agreements with China, unlike anything anybody even thought was possible. So this, I believe, is what I expected to see in a second term of Donald Trump. Is he doing things, Libby, that you expected to see happen by way of tariffs and securing our border?
Well, he's doing something that most presidential candidates don't ever do, which is follow through on every single one of his promises. and he's doing it entirely right away. There's also some interesting things I think going on. You mentioned China, and I think that plays a big role in what's going on in Mexico and specifically Canada as well, because China has deep hooks in Canada, in the banking system, in the political system. And I think that these tariffs are also a way to smack China out of the way, just like Trump is trying to do in Panama. And that is a huge deal. We saw another 10% tariff on China. We know that doesn't impact them that much, but he's also trying to close these loopholes that let companies like Temu send direct to consumers. So long as it's under a certain amount of money, it just skates right through. And that's not good stuff. That's trash stuff that we're getting in. Nobody needs that garbage to come over to the US. And another thing that's happening too that we're seeing protests in Panama against these tariffs. And what are these? These are nationalist protests. We're seeing Canadians being pro-Canada. So the countries here are going back to their own countries. The people are saying, we love our country. And isn't that what makes a stronger world? People who love their countries, who want to support their countries, who want good things to happen for their people and their nations. That's only a positive globally. And another thing too with these tariffs is we're seeing, we can see the return of American manufacturing. We can see companies saying, we don't want to deal with these tariffs. We're going to go to the US and start making stuff there. So in a lot of different ways, I think this could all be really beneficial for the United States, which is of course the entire point.
That's the point. We want to put America first. We want good things happening to this country. It really just overall seems like none of these people have learned their lesson when it comes to Donald Trump. And maybe they're just going to have to learn it the hard way. They're just going to have to see him in action and remember how he was the first term in office. It's Donald Trump 2.0. It's sort of next level stuff now.
Yeah.
And Alex, he's got it. He is not wasting time. He understands what needs to happen. They're going to figure it out at some point. I guess it might be too late for a lot of them, though. It's
the amount of it's the most efficient first couple of weeks of an administration that I've ever seen. There's no close second. It's almost too obvious of a point. I probably need to take the audience's time to make the point because it's been made so often and it's so obvious. But when you think about these tariffs, it's like we already debated this. He was pro-tariff on the campaign trail. He's been pro-tariff. His biggest advocates in media, people like us at Breitbart, we've been trying to explain to people that this is a good thing. And people who are allergic to the word tariff or have some sort of religious acceptance that you can never have it for whatever reason, you're all wrong. And it's a big joke and you're part of the problem. And then he comes in, he does it and it works perfectly. And then was like, oh, dang. I guess he was right. Yeah, we all thought he was right. We all thought he was going to be right. That's why we voted for him. Republicans support tariffs. And I'll tell you one thing that's interesting now is that not only has this shift happened, but Americans actually anticipate that tariffs will be a bigger burden on their lives than they actually will. I'll tell you, it'll make a marginal difference. It'll make some difference. I'm not saying it won't make some difference, but if he really has to impose a lot, it'll make some difference. It won't be that big, but there's going to be some benefits. We already saw for the first time in 26 months, manufacturing increase in this country. It's already happening. The Trump manufacturing boom in this country has already begun. We're not even a month into the administration. There's going to be, the dollar is going to get stronger. There's positives that come with it, aside from the leverage and showing the rest of the world we're in charge again.
Yes, we do not want the BRICS nations coming up with a new global currency, any of that stuff happening. It's all very scary.
Good point.
Talking about people not learning their lesson. Libby, I just bless their hearts over at the DNC. I guess that's how we'll start this. They chose over the weekend new chairs of their party, and clearly the ones who are in there did not do a great job by any stretch of the imagination, because Donald Trump won the White House. We held the House, and of course, we have a majority in the Senate right now on the Republican side of the aisle. But what was really amazing to me was to see the outgoing chairman of the DNC, Jamie Harrison, in a video talking to all the folks who were going to vote on the new chair and vice chairs of the DNC, and making sure they knew, Libby, that the only way their vote was going to be counted is if they legibly wrote their name, they legibly signed their name, and if they could tell who the people were who were actually casting the vote. I actually had to rewatch the video several times because I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Now they are concerned with ensuring they know who people are who are voting for things when it's their chair and vice chair positions at the DNC. Libby, where was that concern over the past at least year while I was co-chair of the RNC, because we invited these folks at the DNC to come join our pursuit of election integrity, make sure we have photo ID, make sure that people are American citizens who are voting in our elections. I didn't see the urgency in our federal election. All of a sudden, the DNC goes to vote for chair and vice chairs, and they're very concerned with that, Libby. Interesting.
Yeah, they're really only concerned with that at the top levels of their party organization. They're not actually concerned with that for the country, and they're not concerned with the country across the board. We saw also at the DNC elections over the weekend, they started with a land acknowledgement. So they have clearly learned nothing. They all raised their hand. All of the candidates for DNC chair raised their hand when they were asked if misogyny and racism played a role in Kamala Harris's loss to Donald Trump. So they have learned nothing there. And they actually had a pastor out there who was praying, I kid you not, to the universe, praying to the universe that the universe wrap its energy and love around the people at the DNC. And I'd like to remind everyone who's watching that the energy of the universe is dark matter, black holes, and supernovas. So I don't know why
Scary.
they are courting actual death and destruction on their own party. That's insane.
Oh my God. And Alex, when after all these people, as Libby was just talking about, raised their hand whenever they were asked who believes that racism and misogyny played a role in the election, all the folks raised their hand. And then the questioner responded, she goes, okay, you all pass. Like they had to do that. They have learned absolutely nothing.
No.
And one of the new vice chairs is, of course, famous gun control activist Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, shooting survivor David Hogg.
Yeah.
That's one of their new ones. So it should make them very relatable, Alex.
Oh,
to
I'm
the
so
average
excited
person.
about Hogg. It's just a gift. I'm sure Libby agrees. I mean, he's just a click magnet for my website, Breitbart News. And it's just the more Hogg, the better. I can't get enough. It is interesting, though, that they really did, I guess, stop the DEI hires because they're just going with straight white guys again.
Yeah, old white dude. That's the new chairman. I know.
It's great. They're so lost, and it's important that we take a break from all the winning to remind everyone all the losing that's going on the Democrat side. It really is a win-win in that sense. So, they're so lost. They don't know what to do, but it really is on a serious level. They've got a real tension because can they somehow have normal people sort of Clinton Democrats, or is there any room for any of them in the party, people who think taxes are probably too high and, try to, the problem is, and the woke stuff isn't great. The problem is there's no cultural currency for that. The only way to break through in the culture is with radical leftism. The donor class and the activist class all really like the radical leftism. And Trump stole all the good moderate Democrat ideas. He actually had stolen them by the last time. So they're like way Trump ideas now. So I don't know how they sort this out because neither way is going to work. Them steering into the AOC wing of the party is not going to work. And them trying to go moderate is just, there's no audience for that. The Pod Save America audience doesn't want that. Like they want the resistance. They want the pink hats out. So and that's not going to work anymore. So it's really great. I love to see it.
You really love to see it. Good luck to them, although not too much luck because we're very happy with how things turn out. And I will just go ahead and reiterate. I've said it maybe a handful of times since the election. When I was elected as co-chair of the RNC, a lot of the same folks who were, I guess, now part of the DNC, now former DNC chairman, Jamie Harrison, I know is one of them, really joked about it, laughed it up whenever I was elected as co-chair. I don't think he's laughing now. That's all I will say. I believe I had a successful run as co-chair of the RNC, but I digress. We hear the acronym FAFO. I think people know what that is, Libby. F around and find out is what it stands for if you aren't already aware. And that's kind of the mantra and the vibe of Donald Trump's second term in the White House. A lot of people are feeling that Donald Trump banned the intelligence officials who said that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. Remember that? Remember all the people who helped sway the election in 2020 by claiming that the Hunter Biden laptop was fake, was phony? Those intelligence agents are no longer around. The acting AG also fired the DOJ officials who worked on the criminal investigations against President Trump. Now, there were a lot of people out there on the left and in the media who were very hysterical about this, Libby. But I just wonder what kind of an idiot would allow any of these people to have any sort of intelligence clearance, to still remain on and work on behalf of your administration when they had actively worked against you to keep you out of the White House and interfere in an election. I would say good job to Donald Trump for this, because this is the kind of rot that people wanted to see cleaned out of Washington, D.C. It's already started happening. For years, customers have been asking if MyPillow sells cross necklaces like the one Mike Lindell proudly wears every day. Well, guess what? You're in luck. They are excited to announce that Mike has partnered with a jeweler right here in the USA to create beautiful sterling silver My Crosses. You can save 30% today using promo code Trump at mypillow.com and click on the radio podcast square, or call 800-624-3945 and be sure to use promo code Trump. You can choose from the women's or men's style, and make sure you do it soon because this amazing offer won't last long. Just go to mypillow.com and click on the radio podcast square, or call 800-624-3945 and use promo code Trump. Selling a car privately can be a real headache. Endless negotiations, tire kickers, and paperwork hassles. But there's a better way to get your unused car off your hands. For 30 years, Cars for Kids has perfected the car donation process to make it truly effortless. They'll take your car in any condition, running or not, and turn it into funds for kids in need, plus a tax deduction for you. It takes just 2 minutes on the phone or at carsforkids.org/Trump to donate, and they'll take it over from there, getting your car picked up as soon as the next day. No haggling, no scheduling, no conflicts, no paperwork nightmares. You'll receive a vacation voucher and maximum tax deduction while supporting proven programs that help children reach their full potential. With over 1 million successful donations over 3 decades, Cars for Kids continues to be a trusted partner for car donors across the country. Again, it's free, convenient, and easy, freeing up your driveway while making a difference for the next generation. Call now, 1-877-CARS-4-KIDS, that's KARS, the number 4, kids, or donate online at carsforkids.org/Trump.
Yeah, these were intelligence officials, former intelligence officials who had used their position to really skew the election. And we saw that in polling after 2020, that there were a lot of people who would not have voted for Joe Biden had they known for sure that the Hunter Biden laptop story was not, in fact, Russian disinformation. These 51 agents were contacted, I believe, by Antony Blinken at the time, who was working on the Biden campaign and then became Secretary of State. He contacted one guy and said, "Hey, don't you think this looks like Russian disinfo?" And they were like, "Sure, yeah, why not?" And so they all signed on. Of course, that was a complete lie. And we saw recent emails coming out that said they wanted to make sure to get the story out about it being Russian disinformation before the debate, so that Biden could use it on the debate stage. His staff used it. Jen Psaki put out Russian disinfo. They got involved with all of the news agencies, NPR, CBS, New York Times. They all ran articles about why they would not run articles about the laptop. And I don't think that these people really are non-biased enough to work anywhere near the intelligence agency. They clearly use their position and abuse that position, and don't have any place in intelligence at this point for the U.S.
But this is, I think, Alex, this is one of the first steps towards reestablishing the American people's trust in these institutions. It is so sad to me that most people don't trust our Department of Justice, that most people don't trust our 3-letter agencies. It's because of this kind of stuff. And so Donald Trump is like, look, I have 4 years to set the things back on the right track. And I think that this is a step in that direction. So they can be critical and hysterical all they want, but this is what the American people voted for. They wanted him to go in there, and they wanted the truth, and they wanted transparency, whether it's releasing, the assassination files on JFK, RFK, and Martin Luther King, or whether it's getting these people out and saying, you know what, no more of this. You guys, you messed it up, and you don't deserve to be in these positions anymore.
Let me emphasize one thing that both you ladies have said, and then let me add one thing. The point to emphasize is these people interfered in a presidential election in the United States. That is that is they should go to jail for that.
Yes.
Seriously, because that's what they did, and we're understating it. They're losing their security clearance. These people should be tried. And
no, they're lucky, Alex, that this is the only thing that's happening.
Yeah, exactly right. It's
Yeah.
the fact that they could use their security clearances to make money and to basically monitor what's going on inside Trump's administration is, of course, obviously that's got to go. I mean, but it should be worse. And this is my new point that I want to add. Is we need to have a culture of consequences. It seems like what we've done now is you get lots of consequences. Like my TK student who's 4 years old has missed 6 days of school this year. So we need to go have a meeting with the school because he's missed 6 days of school, 5 of which was for a family vacation, family reunion. So it's so there's consequences for that.
Yeah.
But Dr. Fauci funds gain of function research and lies about it to the Senate, like to our Congress. He perjures himself and he gets a preemptive pardon and gets a $400,000 a year pension. I mean, that's not a cost. We're not holding people accountable. And all these people covered up the Wuhan lab was the origin of the coronavirus. Not one of those people gets held accountable. We can't have that culture in this country where you do something small, like you miss TK, you get consequences, but you do something big, like unleash a global pandemic, then you get a pension. That's not okay. And that's what it's like now. And in Donald Trump's America, that's going to change. It'll take a while, but it's got to change a little bit. And this is a good start.
It's a good start. I hope California pays attention too, Alex, out there. And I hope that
Absolutely
if you steal, under $1,000 worth of goods, they'll still lock you up because that's still a theft and that's still awful. One of the things that people really wanted to see was strength on the world stage reestablished. Libby, it was so sad the past 4 years to look at how America just sort of felt like we were withering and we were just soft and no one respected us. And it started with the exit from Afghanistan. We now have 2 wars going on, I would say probably because of how weak America truly was during the Biden-Harris administration. But one of the things Donald Trump got rid of during his first term in office, and you just didn't hear about anymore, was ISIS. If you recall, Donald Trump very famously tells this story about how when he became president the first time, he went to the top brass of his military and he said, what do we need to do to get rid of ISIS? Because ISIS was like it. Everyone was very concerned with what they were going to be doing, how they were going to impact America, terrorism, etc. And they said, well, sir, the problem is that whenever we want to attack some of these people, we have to go through a chain of command. We have to call back to the White House. They have to get you on the phone. They have to ensure that you're okay with the plan. Then you have to call back. And by the time it gets, back to us, these people are already out of our sights and we can't do anything about it. And Donald Trump said, okay, I'll tell you what, you guys are the military experts, not me. If you have a plan to get rid of these people, get rid of them. It took 4 weeks and we never heard about ISIS again until Joe Biden got in the White House. ISIS came back, and over the weekend, Donald Trump is starting to take out the ISIS folks again. He ordered military airstrikes on ISIS leaders and the terrorists among them who were hiding in caves in Somalia. Here's what he said that I thought was absolutely fantastic. He said, the message to ISIS and all others who would attack America is that we will find you and we will kill you. I'm here for that kind of energy, Libby.
Yeah, I think that's actually a quote from a movie. I was telling my dad about this over the weekend, and he was like, that was in a Liam Neeson movie. And I was like, oh, that's fascinating. Yeah, no, I think that I think that there's a lot to be said for American strength, for people knowing out there, FAFO, do not mess with America because we will find you and we will take you out. And that's a way to keep Americans safe around the world, ideally, and to keep Americans safe here at home. During the Biden administration, we saw a resurgence of a lot of terrorist groups, right? The Taliban is now in charge of Afghanistan. Women can't even be seen inside their own homes, which is insane. Their voices can't be heard in public. And this is something that Obama and Biden facilitated. They created this situation. We saw terrorists attacking our closest neighbor our closest ally in the Middle East, Israel. That was just let to happen. That's insane that happened. I don't think Trump is going to allow anything like that to go forward again for at least the next 4 years, and ideally creating a platform where nothing like that can happen to American interests globally. So I I love to see that, the United States is strong, and hopefully not just our enemies, but our allies will have some respect, not just respect for America, but respect for themselves. I would love to see the UK get its thing together. I would love to see
Yeah.
Canada be stronger. I would love to see American allies globally with the kind of strength that means we can really rely on them on the world stage.
And you got to call him out whenever you see him, Alex. One of the things that Donald Trump also did is he designated drug cartels a foreign terrorist organization, as well as I didn't even know that they needed to be redesignated as this. I guess they lost their designation, but the Houthis also redesignated as a foreign terrorist organization. You got to be able to call them out. You got to be able to say what it is, call it a problem, and deal with that problem. And this is the kind of reason it was peace through strength when Donald Trump was in the White House during his first term in office. This is what we need to see happen. And he's coming right out of the gate hot, ready to go. I expect to see more of this kind of activity, which actually will have an inverse, response in terms of the rest of the world. I don't think they even want to try it with us.
Yeah, so what he's doing is he's marketing, and Trump is the best marketer in the world. Musk is giving him a run for his money, though, right now. But Trump is number one marketer on the earth, and he knows when he needs to get the word out, and he's doing things that are deliberately going to publicize what he's doing. Like now we're talking about putting out video of him blowing up these terrorists. That's just sending a message to the bad guys that we're not messing around anymore, F around, find out type deal. And that's why he wants to bring some of the terrorist designations back. That's why he's got Tom Homan out there. He's doing ice raids with Dr. Phil. I mean, the whole point of this is to send a message that that's why you should try to plug a guy in like a Matt Gaetz at the DOJ. It didn't work out, but the whole thinking behind it is if you're going to undermine me, we're going to make it very uncomfortable for you all the way around the world. So you got to be deeply committed. Your life is going to be a living hell if you're trying to stand in the way of Donald Trump right now. He's got a head of steam. I got to tell you, they shouldn't have sued him so many times. They shouldn't have tried to kill him. They shouldn't have tried to steal elections from him. They really shouldn't have done that because he's a totally different guy now and he's not messing around with anyone. And so just when you see these things, you don't have to take them literally. You just take a look at it and say, what's he really up to here? And he's sending a message that he thinks will help him get his job done more efficiently. And I couldn't agree more with any of these moves. Yeah,
they really did set him up for all of this. You're exactly right, Alex. I don't think they understood what they were doing. They were making him so much stronger and so much better actually at his job as president. So thank you to all the lunatics out there, I guess we'll say, for doing it. Before we go, guys, I do want to just take a quick moment of silence for the legacy media. We have some folks who are leaving. Nora O'Donnell from CBS, Jim Acosta, of course, famously from CNN, and crying Chuck Todd, as he was designated by the 45th and 47th president from NBC. They're all leaving. Libby, this is kind of incredible stuff. I mean, I know that we've seen a culture shift, and that's really palpable out there. You can feel things are different. But to see some of these major names from these major networks, we're done. They're done. They're leaving. What does that tell you? I mean, it's sort of incredible that we found ourselves here. And I even think a year ago, had you said to a lot of people that those three were going to be out, that they were going to, that was it, I don't know that anybody would have believed you. There's been a lot of good stuff happening. This is not the least of it.
Yeah, isn't it interesting to see all of these people pack up and move on over to Substack and their own podcasts or whatever it is that they're going to be doing. And these were a lot of high-paid people. A lot of these networks are cutting back. They're cutting back on salaries. We saw Rachel Maddow and Joy Reid, I think, both had to take pay cuts in order to keep their jobs. So that's a big thing that's going on, too, is Americans are putting their money somewhere else. They're looking for other news media to consume. We saw that, of course, during the election. That was a really huge deal. But these are people who I am surprised to see them leave. I would have thought that they would have dug their heels in and demanded some airtime to put on their pink hats and be the resistance. So it is surprising to me that they're doing that. We saw that also with some people at the Washington Post, people at the LA Times leaving because they don't like the difference in direction. But my hope is that there is some more balance to the legacy and mainstream media outlets, that perhaps they go about giving equal airtime, that they air opposing views, that they have
Imagine that,
open
Libby.
debate. That would be really
No, their
terrific.
audience doesn't want it.
And otherwise, I think that we'll all really just have to tell them, we don't really care, Margaret.
It's so good. Alex, you're probably right. Their audience doesn't want to hear it. They want
this
to
goes back
exist
to
in
the
an
point
echo
I was
chamber.
making. Yeah, their audience, the Rachel Maddow audience doesn't want to see her debate someone smart. They want to see her tell them where the Russians are hiding the latest whatever it is. That's all. That's what they're there for. It's all performance art anyway. With all these people, they're not real people. I'm going to be slightly contrarian, and that I think the White House should accelerate it. Like I don't understand why Peter Alexander from, is it NBC or ABC? I always forget. It doesn't make a difference. Like why does he have a permanent seat in the White House press briefing? He should be out. It just or at least rotate in with the rest of us. It doesn't. He's not reaching more people. He doesn't have more web traffic than than I have.
He does embarrass himself on a regular basis when he
Yeah,
asks.
it's good content. Yeah, the content's good. Like I'm fine with that. But it's just why is he get a permanent? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
We so far moved past the reach of a good website or a good podcast is so much greater in these let's go faster. I mean, it's happening, and we've been delaying this process, and I'm glad it's moving, but I think speed it up. These guys are irrelevant. They're especially irrelevant in a America run by Donald Trump and JD Vance and Pete Hegseth and people like that. I mean, they don't care about these outlets. So let's just move on from it. Just move them all out, put them in the rotation. Any good podcast should be on equal footing as ABC News, which is ABC. Comcast, Universal. No, it's NBC, Comcast, Universal, ABC, Disney. I mean, there's all these corporate shills. I'm over them. Let's get rid of them.
Yeah. We got the influencers in the White House press room. Like we are, it's a new era. Then they are, I think, Alex, they are, these people are exposing themselves if they haven't already done it. I mean, you have CBS being forced to hand over that Kamala Harris 60 Minutes interview that they doctored to try and influence an election. I mean, they're every single one of them. I feel like all the shine has worn off for most people, for most reasonable people out there. They don't believe them just, at face value anymore, because you're right. You can go out there and you can do your own research. You can go find content elsewhere. You can go find differing views of opinions and see what other people are saying out there. It's the wild, wild west online, but it's good. And that's how it should be. We should just get the information and then make up our own minds about it. So good luck to all of these people. It's not a second too soon to see some of them go. With that said, Alex and Libby, you guys are awesome. Thank you as always for joining us here for The Right View. To everybody at home, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and follow. And we'll see you back here next time for more of The Right View.
And I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out.
Nothing is worse than being on a phone call that drops. Nothing is worse than trying to text someone and you can't reach them because your phone is out of service range. And nothing is worse than supporting these major corporations and companies who don't support us. That is why I love Patriot Mobile. They are America's only Christian conservative wireless network. They use every cell tower out there available to all networks so that they have the greatest 4G and 5G coverage nationwide, and they support the causes that are important to us as conservatives. If you go today to patriotmobile.com/Lara Trump and use the promo code Trump, you will get free activation today. Again, that is patriotmobile.com/Lara Trump. The promo code is Trump for free activation so that you can get a great cell plan and feel good about doing it.